I know what I forgot to go over. Some of the experiences, whether hallucinogenic or from the enemy, um, whether they were psychiatric from a derivative of psychiatric disorder or from Satan, lost spirits, or what have you. Um, I know the difference between those and visions that I'm having from the Lord. Upon the aftermath, I know upon its aftermath what's real and what's from the Lord, what's from what's from mental illness, or what's from Satan. So that doesn't mean I'm not, affected, you know, as it happens, but and when it's from the Lord, of course right away that it's from the Lord. And when it's a deception, you don't necessarily know right away when it's a deception. That's why it's called mind fucking by the powers that be. But I mean, you have an idea while it's happening that it's not from the Lord because something is going wrong with this. It doesn't seem as clear. It's not as easy to organize, or you know, um, it's messed up. Um, you know, it's disordered. So the Lord is able to convey a powerful message that powerfully affects us and trips us up with our lives, or even cripples us with our lives, and yet still convey a clarity that it was from Him. Like that papal message that I'm obsessed about. And then or taking a trip through the outer space. I mean, the reason I know that was from the Lord was because love was present, and I was sad to be back here. And the papal message, because there was a clarity about it, and I was rescued from it within seconds. So the Lord wasn't interested in harming me, but succeeded to anyways. It was more of like a spanking. I was there for a few seconds, and those few seconds just scarred me for life. But and that's when I fell into the hellfire because the office of the Pope repelled me. That was a spanking from the Lord. I say it scarred me for life, but it also gave me a sense of direction. So if I had just gone, through the outer space and back again, I think that would have caused me even more anxiety. I mean, the thought that I could be wandering around through the universe as a ghost, I mean, it's kind of freaky. Even though love was present, I don't want to do that again. Go through the outer space. The outer space is huge. And then getting, whipped into hellfire. I mean, at least it was only a few seconds, but I know who sent me there. I know it was the office of the Pope, which gave me a sense of direction. And that sense of direction had a double-sided message that Christ ultimately holds that office, and that the papal office is not meant to be a replacement for Jesus Christ. Neither is it meant to be compromised. So we must be careful not to, worship the popes in place of Jesus Christ. They are fallible men and can stand to be corrected. Now, as we've said before, that when they do compromise the office, it is a beastly thing for them to do, and they are therefore identified as the beasts of Revelation. But they are human flesh, and the Lord understands that, Hellfire was not created for humans. It was created for Satan. Okay? So it is wrong to say that any of these popes are in hell right now. Even though the scriptures say that the beasts of Revelation will burn forever in hell. The popes aren't necessarily the beasts. They're just fulfilling that role. Okay? They're just fulfilling that role. They play that part. That doesn't mean they're beyond redemption. Like I said, our souls are not our own to sell. It's not possible to sell our souls because Jesus Christ paid a great price for our souls. And all we have to do is call upon him for our redemption. He did say blasphemy against the Holy Spirit is not forgiven. But it takes a lot to commit blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, pretty sure. You have to harden your heart right up until the last hour and just probably refuse to call upon Jesus Christ, whom you have come to understand. Of course, you can't call upon a Jesus Christ that you don't understand as Lord. So not everybody is equally culpable for calling upon Jesus Christ. Some plants benefit from indirect sunlight, but they're living a good life. Whereas people that are desperately wicked and worshiping Satan probably know to call upon Jesus Christ and don't. Anyways, and then again, there are the victims of the brainwashing who, are they all victims of brainwashing? I don't know. Maybe some of those Satanists are more culpable than others. And the Lord finds a way to rescue some of them. Because, it's been goes on for generations and generations and generations. They're born into it. And, kind of like they're all victims of Stockholm Syndrome. But that's who the Lord is probably talking to when he says, "Come out of her, my people, that ye not be partakers of her plagues, and you receive ye not of her, that ye not be partakers of her sins, and receive ye not of her plagues." Well, the Monsignor believes that's who the Lord was talking to when he says, "Come out of her, my people." That he wasn't necessarily talking to practicing Catholics. He was talking to Satanists. "Come out of her, my people, that ye not be partakers of her sins, and receive ye not of her plagues." Of course, if there's a covert group of Satanists practicing within the Roman Catholic Church, and we practicing Catholics are enabling them, that's what I meant to get on here to talk about. When I guess I had come across on internet, the Great Whore of Babylon, the spiritual adultery of the Vatican, and so that it isn't the Roman Catholic Church that is the Great. It's not the Catholic Church per se that is the Great Whore of Babylon. And Kevin Annett would agree. It's not the Catholic Church, but the Roman Catholic Church. So, if the Catholic Church separates from Rome and no longer, funnels money to Rome, in the condition that the Roman Vatican is in right now, it's necessary for us to stop funneling our monies to Rome. And that is something that the right-winged Roman Catholics have failed to recognize. They didn't even raise it as an issue as far as I know. But the right-winged Roman Catholics depict the Vatican as the Great Whore of Babylon. And it has been, I think, at least since 1929, according to the right-winged Roman Catholics. According to the Kevin Annett. It always has been, because he's Protestant. But he's mostly has mostly been functioning on a common law level, common law train of thought. So he is suggesting to us that if we want to stay Catholic, do so, but not in cooperation with the Roman Vatican. So stop funneling the monies to Rome. And the right-wing Roman Catholics would do well to advise that too. I think some of them actually do. They're taking up Kevin Annett's suggestion. I don't know if they're right-winged, but since the right-winged Roman Catholics recognized that the Vatican is the great whore of Babylon, since 1929, then you would think that the right-winged Roman Catholics would catch on to that train of thought. But there's another group called Not in Our Name, run by the ITCCS or promoted by the ITCCS, and they're a group of Roman Catholic clergy who are withdrawing from Rome. So they're stopping the funneling of their monies to the Roman Vatican because the Roman Vatican is not in a good condition. And they don't want to be associated with their crimes or with their spiritual adultery. The spiritual adultery is super dangerous. It's extremely dangerous. Now, the Monsignor that I talked to is perfectly comfortable with saying, "Oh, we don't have to withdraw from Rome because Rome is withdrawing from us." Well, if we're continuing to funnel our monies to Rome, then we still have a connection. And the other thing is, the Monsignor would say, is that if we stop, funneling, if we punish people financially, then we're forcing them to be good, and he doesn't believe in forcing them to be good. So it's kind of, like hardly even a passive resistance where he's concerned. But I haven't really, maybe I haven't proven enough to him yet. It's taking a while. I took a break from trying to prove the Roman Vatican as a criminal syndicate and committing spiritual adultery. I took a break from that, and I talked about my visions. I haven't been spending most of my time with him talking about my visions. That was only one session. So I'm going to go back to making my case against the Vatican today. But so, getting back to making my case against the Vatican today, so when I was, as a visionary, when I visited a convent, a wayward spirit came over me to make a fool of me, and I had asked the sister if I could do ballet, and then she said she gave me permission to, and then this wayward spirit came over me and, was compelling me to do all these dance moves that I had never seen before. Maybe I did somewhere in my subconscious, I don't know, but I was not highly aware of them. And, it had me, this wayward spirit had me performing all these moves that were not my own, not part of my repertoire of culture or expose or exposure. And I was doing this, making all these, so she caught me. And because of that, because she caught me doing that, and I swore up and down that it was the devil that was doing that to me. And she goes, "Oh, that's a cop-out. You can't just admit that it was stupid and that you saw it somewhere." So she said she didn't want to be involved with me because of that. And that I wasn't even allowed to go to Mass there anymore. I wasn't allowed to be part of that religious community. Because a wayward spirit took me over to make a fool of me. Well, look, and to this day, I'm not allowed to go to Mass there because of these silly, like yoga styles or whatever of dance that she caught me doing. like yoga or modern dance. It's like modern dance and yoga and this type of stuff. Well, so I thought about it like, so this would have to be like 33 years later, in fact. So 33 years later, um, I'm thinking about, what actually took place now that I've been exposed to the internet and the spiritual adultery of the Vatican. And what I've been seeing as regards to spiritual adultery of the Vatican. And it's a website called VaticanCatholic.com. They're the ones that put these videos out. These are the right-winged Roman Catholics that I'm talking about. That exposed the Vatican and its spiritual adultery, and the Vatican has been up to this kind of behavior. And worse, and much worse, much, 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 much worse. So it's almost as if the Lord was communicating the crisis by allowing the wayward spirit to communicate the crisis of the Vatican state, and allowed me to be used in this way to communicate the crisis of the Vatican state. So yeah, so that's probably all for now. I think I covered most everything I'm supposed to.